Marnie learns that her high school Joanna is about to marry her elder brother, Will. She completely ignores her childhood crush Charlie to prove to Will that Joanna is bad for him. Marnie is her clumsiest best in high school, with geek specs and braces to complete her look. She's a senior at Ridgefield High, but people tease her because her initials spell Moo. The popular girl, JJ, and her group of friends lock Marnie out of the school and call her a loser. Even in her freshman year, no one wants to sit with her. She's from a small town in Northern California, so everyone in school knows each other. She's even popular for all the wrong reasons, because she drops her lunch on a guy. She hopes she doesn't grow up to be what she is in high school. Sounds like a villain origin story. Her elder brother, Will, is a popular basketball player who is good at everything. JJ cheers for his team and pushes Marnie inside a gator mascot out of her way. Marnie bumps into Will and destroys his winning shot, for which everyone blames her. This can't get worse. Marnie climbs up to the treehouse to talk to Will, but he is still angry. Marnie feels the girls at school are right about her being a loser. Will wants to confront her, but Marnie refuses to let him protect her. Will hopes Marnie can see how amazing she is and believes in herself. Marnie eventually works on her appearance to gain confidence. She feels glad she has come a long way from those horrible days. She's now working at a top public relations firm in Los Angeles and sharing her story with some junior publicists. She now thinks everything is about perception, and people can always control how they react to situations. She's surely setting an example. Everyone loves her speech, and her boss promotes her. He wants her to take up the vice president position at the New York office. Marnie is excited to head back home for Will's wedding. Will's fiancée, Joanna, is apparently amazing, and her Aunt Mona has spent a fortune on the wedding. Marnie's mother, Gail, texted Mona to not do so much, but she insisted on doing the best for Joanna. Marnie wonders why she didn't know Joanna when they all went to high school together. Will has sent her an unclear picture in a mask, so Marnie doesn't recognize her. Gail knows Joanna went by a nickname in high school. Marnie freaks out when she looks at the picture and realizes JJ is Joanna. It seems like it can still get worse for her. Marnie tries to convey her anger to Gail, but the air hostess, Heather, keeps insisting she needs to sit. Marnie can't just relax when her brother is marrying the girl who ruined her life in high school. Fair enough. But no one cares about her anger, and she gets detained by the air marshal. He seems interested in Marnie's story, and how no one knows Joanna is the same woman. Marnie knows Will was much older to ever care about her high school drama. She still can't believe her luck, and that she's stuck with the one girl she can't stand. Joanna is also the reason she left home and settled in Los Angeles. He suggests Marnie should remain calm in front of Joanna, so she always has the upper hand. When he learns her mascot video got 1 million hits on YouTube, he asks for a link. We want it too. Marnie hopes she can be calm about it, now that a lot of time has passed. Yeah, right. Gail picks her up at the airport with Marnie's younger brother, Ben. Marnie hates that they're all hanging out with Joanna these days. So much for being mature. Marnie learns that Joanna has also taken their dog Coco to the groomer, so he can look good for the wedding. She also learns she's supposed to share a room with Joanna since the house is full. We underestimated Marnie's bad luck. Marnie is not happy but agrees to adjust to it. She can't believe Will is grown up enough to marry when they were just kids playing in the treehouse. She notices how fit her dad, Mark, looks, and he claims he's working hard on it. Gail invites them downstairs, where Joanna is teaching her how to roll a tomato to make a flower. That's annoying already. Joanna feels Marnie looks beautiful and is excited to finally meet her. Marnie is expecting something drastic, but she realizes Joanna doesn't recognize her. What a turn of events! Joanna has heard a lot about her from Will and is excited to spend time with her little sister. At the dinner table, Coco completely ignores Marnie, who is down on her knees, to join Joanna. Ouch. Gail doesn't want to start dinner without Joanna's Aunt Mona, but Joanna knows she might get very late. Gail blindfolds Mark and explains he's trying a new mind-body connection. He wants to look fit to be Will's best man, and heard about the Yamaguchi diet from a colleague. He knows that by not looking at the food, he will listen to his stomach more, so he doesn't overeat. At least someone has their life in order. Joanna keeps encouraging Mark, and Marnie doesn't like that. Marnie learns that Joanna met Will at a karaoke bar at the beach. Will was on the stage and failing at a song. She felt the need to rescue him since he was too cute, so they sang the song together. Gail finds it weird they haven't met before in a small town like theirs. This whole thing is weird. Marnie tries to jog Joanna's memory about her, but she's clueless. Joanna has heard about Marnie's fancy job, so she also announces she got promoted. Joanna is impressed Marnie gets to meet real celebrities. Marnie is still more curious to know how Joanna's life turned out. After her parents died, Joanna realized she wasn't making the right choices. So, she enrolled in nursing school and started focusing on helping the less fortunate. Gail is proud of how obsessed Joanna is with helping people in need. Joanna has now even been promoted to head clinical nurse on her own merit. She keeps discussing her amazing work and how hard it is to run a suicide hotline. Will is proud of her, and everyone is excited about him marrying her. Marnie wants to refill her drink instead. Right about time. Gail goes on about how great Joanna is, but Marnie feels it's too good to be true. She suggests Joanna can sleep in the new garden instead. Marnie finds it odd that Joanna doesn't remember her. Gail claims she also doesn't remember people from her high school. Marnie knows that's because Gail was popular, but she claims she also had problems. There's surely a story here. She has never discussed them because she feels everyone deserves a second chance. Gail insists Marnie should fix any problem she might have had with Joanna in the past. If only it was that easy. Joanna's Aunt Mona finally arrives, who turns out to be Gail's arch-nemesis from high school, Ramona. Gail remembers the time Ramona pushed her into the pool while she was dancing at prom. Now this is even better. They claim they were best friends, and Gail can't believe how Ramona hasn't aged. Ramona gifts Ben the latest video game, which hasn't even been released yet. She also gets Marnie something from Brian Rea's new collection, which she loves. Marnie is also excited to learn that Ramona owns the Sullinger Group hotels, with 14 properties. Marnie can't believe Gail didn't tell her she was friends with one of Forbes' 100 most powerful women. That has to hurt. Ramona even gets Gail and Mark a free stay at any of her resorts for a week, which Gail tries to refuse. Will feels Ramona shouldn't have done so much, but she's happy to buy people's affection. At least she's honest. Ramona shares stories from her travels, and Gail doesn't like how invested Mark is in her. Gail also learns Ramona owns a private jet. She's also recently divorced after having been married for 7 months. Gail hopes that's hard for her, but it's clear Ramona is enjoying her life. Great, another rivalry. When Mark blindfolds himself for the cheesecake, Ramona recognizes his Yamaguchi diet. She claims she also swears by it. She has also hired Southern royalty, Georgia King, as the wedding planner. Marnie knows her because all her clients want her to plan their wedding. Ramona feels Will and Joanna are adorable, which reminds all of them of their youth. Ramona remembers how popular Gail was, and how everyone wanted to be like her. She was the prom and homecoming queen, and even the cheerleading captain. Joanna bonds with Gail over that, and is impressed that Gail invented the signature move of their varsity squad. She encourages Gail to dance and do the moves with her, which makes Ramona and Marnie feel very awkward. Marnie wants an apology from Joanna, but tries to be mature about it. Mark helps Ramona with her coat, and she's excited about having them as a family. Joanna is her only family now, and she's happy to share her with them. This can only get better. Gail feels that the meeting was more normal than expected. She remembers they were best friends till their senior prom when Ramona had a breakdown and never wanted to see her again. She's not sure what happened, so Mark asks her to forget about it and give Ramona a second chance. Marnie shows Joanna her pictures from high school to make her remember, but she apparently has no idea. No one believes it. Will brings a flower before the night for Joanna, so Marnie decides to give them some privacy. She loves what Ben has done with the treehouse and remembers she made the curtains. She asks for permission to hang out with him since her room is crowded. She wakes up to Ben's friend staring down at her snoring and heads back to the house. Everyone is looking at old pictures, and Coco also growls at Marnie. Joanna calms him down and claims he's weird with guests and probably doesn't recognize Marnie. That's too much memory loss to handle. They make fun of Marnie's old pictures, till Gail remembers they're late for their dance lesson. They also have to pick up Grandma Bunny on the way, who has also been hanging out with Joanna a lot. Will admits he proposed to Joanna in their treehouse, which is also his wedding gift to her. He's having it moved to their new place. Marnie hates the idea since they built it with their bare hands. Will feels she can visit when she's in town, and Joanna distracts him with their song. Marnie gets a flashback of Joanna her in high school and screams at them to stop the car in front of it. She asks Joanna if she has any regrets from high school, but she only remembers she didn't do enough community service. No one is buying this. Marnie wonders if Joanna had a lot of boyfriends, and remembers a rumor about a cheerleader who slept with everyone in their district. Joanna knows she's referring to her, but denies that this cheerleader dated the principal. Joanna decides to change the music, and puts on the same song she used to sing to call Marnie a loser in high school. She even pulls down her mirror to give Marnie a look, so she knows that Joanna remembers. Finally, game on. Marnie hates Bunny bonding with Joanna and offers to help her get ready. Marnie gets her hand stuck on the glue because of Bunny's dentures. Bunny cuts her hair to free her, but gives her accidental bangs like she had in high school. That's a flashback she doesn't want. Marnie confronts Joanna and is glad that she's showing her true colors. They get distracted by Joanna's ex, Tim, who is still in love with her. Joanna tries to rush out, but Marnie insists they should hear Tim out. He asks for Joanna's number, but Bunny flirts with Tim and gives her number instead. Score. Joanna explains that she's getting married to Will that Saturday, which seems too soon for Tim. He almost tears up and wishes them luck before leaving. Joanna explains that she dated Tim briefly in college but insists it's not important. We're sure it's not. Gail can tell Marnie doesn't like Bunny warming up to Joanna, but feels she shouldn't make everything into a competition. Ramona looks great in a new dress, so Gail now feels the need to compete. Spoke too soon. Ramona tries to remember the last time she danced with Gail at the prom. A lot of good memories, clearly. She judges Gail's look and feels it's too sporty. Georgia makes a grand entrance with a dance and introduces herself to them as the wedding extraordinaire. She has help from her masked dance partner, who is the owner of the studio, and turns out to be Tim. What a surprise. Georgia has choreographed a special Brazilian dance to celebrate Will and Joanna's love. They all start dancing with their partners, but Marnie is left alone. Joanna subtly tries to make fun of her, but Will's friend Charlie arrives. Marnie gets a flashback of all the times she bumped into Charlie with her tray in school, and when he tried to help her as the mascot. Charlie almost doesn't recognize her but feels she looks great. This should be fun. Georgie asks Charlie to be Marnie's partner, while Tim keeps trying to interrupt Will and Joanna's dance. Marnie teaches Charlie the steps and jokes about having 2 hours more practice than him. Gail keeps judging Ramona's sensual dance and feels like she's trying to prove something. Mark almost compliments Ramona's body but stops himself. Ramona looks straight at Gail when she makes her next move. Gail feels competitive and tries to be as sensual as her with Mark. Joanna and Marnie get competitive too, and Marnie has an awkward dance face-off with her. This will not end well. Gail suddenly wants to try a stunt, but she falls on Mark and Marnie. She knows she's never getting an apology from Joanna. Ben doesn't care about her brainwashing Will, till Marnie mentions he's giving her the treehouse. Gail looks at her yearbook with pictures of her and Ramona, and decides to drop by her hotel. Marnie starts planning a way to save Will in the next 48 hours. They need to isolate Will for the plan, so Marnie tries to bond with him over a run. She tries to get down from the treehouse but slips when she hears Charlie is joining them too. Ramona is surprised to see Gail at her door, who wants to discuss something. Since Ramona is on a call, Gail asks if she can use the restroom. Gail can't believe how grand it is and tries to use Ramona's products. She tries to see how Ramona's earrings look on her, but ends up washing it down the sink. This looks bad. Gail tries to get it from under the sink but gets sprayed by the leak. She gets the earring back but ruins Ramona's dress when she mistakes it for a towel and tears it. Ouch. Ramona is crying about her divorce paperwork but pretends she's fine in front of Gail. She assumes Gail took a shower, so she plays along. Gail insists she believes in closure and wants to forget whatever happened between them. Ramona likes that they can be mature about it, and thanks Gail for stopping by. Marnie is very tired but pretends she loves running. She tries to talk to Will about Joanna, but he assumes she's offering her support and is happy. Marnie tries to explain her side but gets a cramp, and even Charlie joins them. Marnie pretends she's up for sprinting to the end, but ends up falling in a ditch. It looks like things can still get worse. She's covered in mud after the fall into the ant bed, and Charlie is worried about her. Her vision is blurred since she lost her contacts, so she keeps hitting Charlie by mistake and dropping things. Gail takes Charlie to a safe zone so Marnie doesn't hurt him more. So much for being a klutz. Joanna uses her expertise as a nurse to suggest what Marnie should apply to her skin. Oh no. Marnie keeps scratching and feels she looks just like she did in high school. I can't argue with that. Gail can't get her contacts till the next day, so she's back with her specs and rashes that resemble pimples. Gail assures her the ant bites will go away, but Marnie is not in the mood for her positive speeches. When Ramona drives up to them in her fancy car, Gail gets triggered and breaks the traffic lights to race ahead. Just as Ramona expected, Gail gets a ticket. They arrive late to Joanna's sea-themed bridal shower. Joanna introduces her friends to Marnie, who all remember her from high school. 2 of them are due on the same date, so Marnie makes fun of their planned pregnancy. It is a little funny. Joanna hands out gifts to the bridesmaids, and Marnie gets a locket with Moo written on it. Marnie wonders when life will get easier, but Bunny asks her to not let anyone bring her down. Marnie feels Bunny is right about her experiences making her who she is that day. Marnie asks Joanna to apologize to her if she wants to keep her mouth shut. Joanna knows Will won't believe Marnie over her. She also asks Marnie to check the mirror to prove she's the same girl Joanna in high school. This is getting dirty. Marnie admits Joanna won the first few rounds, but she has decided to step up her game. She knows Will can be convinced with proof, and asks Ben to help her dig the time capsules. Gail turns up to the party in a glamorous dress she is proud of. Everyone shifts their attention to Ramona instead, who's also wearing the same dress. The tension here is mad. Marnie apologizes to Joanna for inviting Tim as her date and pretends it's because she feels awkward alone. She suggests it shouldn't matter since things weren't serious between Joanna and Tim anyway. Marnie pretends to feel bad that she overstepped, but Will insists she should let Tim stay. When Joanna walks off in anger, Marnie feels like she has won this round. Way to go. Charlie joins her at the table and clears all the knives and forks to create a safe zone for himself. Good call. He reminds Marnie that she hit him in 3 places after the ant bed incident. Marnie wants to discuss more, but a drunk Tim forces Charlie out of his seat. Marnie wants to follow Charlie but feels stuck with Tim. Revenge takes work. Joanna is missing her parents because she always thought her dad would walk her down the aisle. Joanna admits she did something she hopes she could take back. Ramona is sure Joanna will do the right thing now. Let's hope so. Georgia announces that Joanna will sing for Will, and Marnie is glad she has a horrible voice. Joanna follows that with an amazing rap dance that everyone loves. Marnie doesn't believe Will is falling for this, but Georgia is sure there's true love between them. Mark is glad to get a rap star in their family and is excited about Joanna getting the best man in marriage. He's talking about Will, and not himself. Crazy best man speech. Joanna tries to confess something to Will, but Tim forces himself on the stage. Tim reveals that Joanna was supposed to marry him, but she stood him up at the rehearsal dinner. Will is surprised to learn they were engaged, but Joanna explains it was after college when she wasn't mature. Tim keeps going on about how much he misses Joanna, and dedicates a song to her. This is too intense. Mark takes the microphone from Tim to show everyone a special video for Joanna. As people recover from Tim's shock, Joanna's time capsule video starts playing. It clearly shows how mean she is, and how she bullied Marnie in school. As she keeps being mean to everyone in school, Will unplugs the wire. Joanna explains that she was a stupid kid back then, but Will feels he doesn't know her anymore. No one has heard from Will, so they decide to check at home. When someone hands Marnie the video back, her parents and Charlie know she set this up. Busted. Marnie explains that she was trying to protect Will, but her parents are disappointed. Marnie finds Joanna and tries to apologize, but she feels it's all Marnie's fault. Marnie reminds her she's the one who pretended to not know her. Joanna feels like she underestimated her and asks why Marnie couldn't let go of the past. Marnie reminds her that she deserves a real apology because those years of torment in high school ruined her life. She is angry that Joanna wants her to feel sorry for her after everything she did. Marnie walks away from her, and Joanna follows. Ramona feels Marnie is just like Gail for ruining Joanna's life. Gail defends Marnie because of the way Joanna b***ed her, but Ramona points out how suspicious Marnie's timing is. Joanna starts throwing plates at Marnie, so she retaliates. Marnie even breaks an expensive wedding present and feels Joanna is not worth standing up to. Joanna throws a tub of gravy, and Will decides to come back right that instant. How satisfying. Will now understands that Joanna's Mother Teresa act was all a lie and feels stupid for believing in her. Marnie tries to Joanna too, but Will is equally mad at her for going behind his back. Will explains that he doesn't care how Joanna was in high school or about her engagement with Tim. He's only angry because she lied to him, and now he doesn't know if she's the same person he fell in love with. Ramona finally reveals why she hates Gail. Ramona remembers being overshadowed by Gail all through their school years. Gail made her try for the cheerleading squad, but she won while Ramona got laughed out the door. Ramona also really wanted the lead in a play, but Gail auditioned for that and won too. Ramona remembers Gail always got things easy and didn't even let her have the theater. Now that explains things. Gail justifies her actions, but Ramona reminds her she even stole Richie Phillips from her at prom. Ramona was in love with him, but he asked Gail to the prom. She couldn't trust Gail after that and worked hard, so she only depended on herself. Gail is proud of what Ramona has achieved, but she also loves her family. Ramona admits she was jealous because Gail was popular and always had everything. Gail's happy marriage is also making her realize why her marriages haven't worked. Ramona is worried that Gianna will suffer because of Gail's family too. Gail apologizes from her heart for being a bad friend. She always knew what she was doing since she wanted to set a standard. Gail admits she was a horrible friend. She also admits she got a makeover because of her jealousy with Ramona, which sorts things out between them. Mark finds them in the pool and feels like he doesn't understand the women in his life. We feel you, Mark. Coco drags Marnie to Joanna, who is sitting in front of the fridge in her wedding dress, covered in cheese. What a sight for sore eyes. Marnie forces her to put down the spray cheese, but Joanna doesn't care. She feels she's an awful person and is getting what she deserves. Joanna has spent years trying to distance herself from her high school persona so her parents could be proud. She knows she should have immediately apologized to Marnie, but she didn't want her family to know about her past. She hasn't had a family in a long time, and she doesn't want to lose Will's family. Marnie admits she panics too, but she knows everyone in her family loves Joanna. Joanna genuinely apologizes for how she treated Marnie and hopes they can get past it. Marnie gets the closure she wants and tries to help her get back with Will. Marnie pretends to sprain her leg to get Will's attention. She makes Will understand that her intention was to protect him from the kind of woman she thought Joanna was. Marnie feels Joanna is not the same anymore and thinks she really loves Will. Joanna and Will make up and fix things in the treehouse. Ben suddenly remembers he loosened the bolts on it so he could hide the house. His plan was to not let Will give it to Joanna. Well, that's not good. Marnie and Ben try to convince Will and Joanna to come out of the treehouse, but they have a huge fall. They end up in the hospital with fractured bones. Everyone assumes it was because of termites in the treehouse. Ben also plays along. Mark, who is their doctor, knows they will heal soon, but they're not allowed to leave the hospital that day, so the wedding is postponed. Marnie notices how happy Will and Joanna are just because they're together. She wakes Joanna up in her bridesmaid's dress and shows her the dry-cleaned wedding dress. The bridesmaids dress Joanna up so they can have a wedding in the hospital itself. Gail tries to mend things and makes Ramona meet Richie again. Joanna asks Marnie to walk her down the aisle. Bunny teases Marnie about Charlie, but Marnie is sure he thinks of her as a disaster. Bunny has seen the way he has been looking at Marnie and asks her to dance with him. Joanna introduces Bunny to Helen, who turns out to be her arch-nemesis from high school. Wow, it gets better. Bunny remembers the time Helen stole her date, and they still hate each other. Bunny takes revenge by stealing Helen's date that night. Marnie also gifts Will and Joanna a performance by the band they bonded over in their first meeting. All of them find love through this dance.